In the summer of 1982, an idyllic stretch of the Green River in Washington state became the scene of a terrifying discovery. Over several weeks, the remains of young women began to surface, their lives cruelly cut short. What began as a local mystery quickly escalated into a widespread panic, as authorities realized they were not dealing with isolated incidents. A chilling pattern emerged, suggesting the presence of a predator, a phantom lurking in the shadows of the Pacific Northwest. The community held its breath, fear a palpable presence in the humid air. The initial discoveries by local law enforcement painted a grim picture. These women, often young and vulnerable, were connected by their disappearance and the horrifying manner of their demise. The media quickly coined a name for the elusive perpetrator, the Green River Killer. This moniker struck terror into the hearts of many, as the body count continued to rise without any clear leads or suspects. The scale of the tragedy was unprecedented, forcing a regional response to a threat that seemed to defy conventional policing. A dark chapter had begun in Washington's history. Wendy Lee Caulfield, Deborah Bonner, Marcia Chapman, and Cynthia Hines were among the earliest identified victims. They were young women, some mere teenagers, who vanished from the edges of society, often working as sex workers or runaways. Their vulnerability made them easy targets for a predator who knew how to exploit their circumstances without drawing immediate attention. The painful reality for their families was an agonizing weight, then the devastating confirmation that their loved ones had fallen prey to an unseen evil. Each discovery fueled the growing desperation of investigators. As the victim count mounted, it became clear that no single police department could handle the scope of the investigation. In 1984, the Green River Task Force was officially formed, a massive collaborative effort involving multiple agencies, including the King County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and other local departments. Hundreds of detectives dedicated their lives to this case, pursuing countless leads, interviewing thousands of people, and sifting through an ocean of evidence. The pressure to find the killer was immense, fueled by public fear and the anguish of grieving families. Meanwhile, the man responsible for these atrocities was living a seemingly unremarkable life amidst the chaos he created. Gary Ridgway, born in Salt Lake City in 1949, grew up in a working-class family in Washington. He was known to few as anything but an average, quiet man, working for a truck painting company. He married, raised a son, and attended church. This outward normalcy was a crucial part of his deception, allowing him to blend seamlessly into the fabric of society while harboring a dark, escalating pathology that would define his monstrous legacy. His ordinary facade was his most potent weapon. Ridgway's early life, while appearing typical, contained disturbing signs. He was known for petty cruelties, particularly towards animals, and displayed an early fascination with death. As a teenager, he was caught killing a chicken and had a history of arson. These behaviors, often dismissed as youthful delinquency, were early indicators of a deep-seated psychological disturbance. He struggled academically and socially, but his quiet demeanor allowed him to escape closer scrutiny. The foundation for his later depravity was subtly laid, hidden from plain view. Gary Ridgway worked for Kenworth, a truck manufacturing company, a job he held for over 3 decades. This employment provided him with a stable routine, financial security, and perhaps most importantly, a company vehicle. This van would become an integral tool in his crimes, allowing him to cruise the desolate stretches of Highway 99, where many of his victims solicited clients. His daily commute and work often brought him into direct contact with the very areas where vulnerable women sought work, blurring the lines between his mundane existence and his horrific secret life. Ridgway's victims were predominantly young women, many of whom were sex workers, runaways, or struggling with addiction, frequenting the fringes of South King County. He deliberately chose individuals who were less likely to be reported missing immediately, or whose disappearances might not receive the same urgent attention from authorities. This cruel calculus allowed him to operate with a degree of impunity for years, exploiting the systemic neglect faced by marginalized populations. His hunting grounds were specific, reflecting his intimate knowledge of the area and its most vulnerable inhabitants. By the mid-1980s, the official count of Green River killer victims had tragically surpassed 40. The sheer volume of cases overwhelmed forensic labs and detective teams. Every new discovery intensified the public outcry and the pressure on the task force. Each body represented a shattered life, a grieving family, and another agonizing failure to apprehend the killer. The landscape of the Green River Valley became synonymous with death, a haunting reminder of the predator who moved unseen among them, leaving a trail of devastation. Detectives on the Green River Task Force faced unprecedented challenges. The lack of witnesses, the scattered remains, and the killer's cunning methods made traditional investigation incredibly difficult. They pursued hundreds of thousands of tips, conducted countless interviews, and developed numerous profiles, but the killer remained elusive. The case became a defining, often soul-crushing, endeavor for many, consuming their lives for years. The sheer frustration of being so close, yet so far, from apprehending the monster was a constant burden. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the task force identified various suspects, but each time, the evidence proved insufficient or led to dead ends. There were individuals who fit the general profile, who had a history of violence, or who were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Each lead, no matter how promising, eventually fizzled out, deepening the mystery and extending the reign of terror. The public, desperate for an answer, was often swayed by speculation, adding another layer of complexity to an already tangled investigation. Ridgway's method of disposing of bodies was a key factor in his evasion. He often returned to the same dumping grounds, areas he knew well, frequently near the Green River or in remote, wooded areas. He would sometimes move remains multiple times to avoid detection, or to mislead investigators. This macabre practice ensured that many victims were found in advanced states of decomposition, making identification and forensic analysis incredibly difficult. His chilling meticulousness and concealment bought him precious time and frustrated justice for years. As the 1990s progressed, forensic science underwent a profound revolution with the advent and refinement of DNA profiling. While earlier investigative techniques relied on fingerprints, hair, and fiber analysis, DNA offered an unprecedented level of specificity. For the Green River Killer case, this emerging technology offered a glimmer of hope where decades of traditional police work had failed. Archived evidence, once deemed inconclusive, now held the potential to unlock the killer's identity, igniting a renewed sense of purpose within the task force. Remarkably, Gary Ridgway had been questioned by the Green River Task Force multiple times during the 1980s. In 1987, his name was added to a list of potential suspects after a witness saw him with a victim shortly before her disappearance. He even voluntarily provided hair and saliva samples. However, due to the limited forensic capabilities of the era, the evidence was not conclusive enough to link him directly to the crimes. He was close to being caught, yet slipped through the cracks, a chilling testament to his ability to appear innocuous. The long-awaited breakthrough finally arrived in 2001. Using advanced DNA technology unavailable in the 1980s, forensic scientists re-examined samples collected from several of the early Green River victims. This time, a definitive match was made. The DNA profile pointed directly to Gary Ridgway, confirming what was once an inconclusive lead. The evidence was overwhelming, providing the irrefutable link that investigators had painstakingly sought for nearly 2 decades. The ghost finally had a name, and the hunt was over. On November 30, 2001, Gary Ridgway was arrested at the Kenworth truck plant where he worked, ending his decades-long reign of terror. He was initially charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder. Faced with overwhelming DNA evidence, Ridgway eventually agreed to a plea bargain to avoid the death penalty. In exchange for immunity from further capital charges, he agreed to lead authorities to the remains of many of his victims, providing chilling details of his crimes. This decision would bring closure, albeit painful, to many families. During his confession, Ridgway meticulously recounted his crimes, often displaying an unsettling lack of emotion. He led investigators to dozens of gravesites, many previously unknown, scattered across the vast, green landscape of Washington state. This grim cooperation allowed authorities to recover additional remains and officially identify victims, bringing a measure of closure to families who had endured decades of uncertainty. His memory for the details of each murder, despite the passage of time, was disturbingly precise, revealing the depth of his calculated depravity. Ridgway confessed to murdering at least 48 women, though investigators believe the true number could be significantly higher, potentially exceeding 71. He is considered one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. The disparity between confirmed victims and suspected victims highlights the challenges of such an investigation and Ridgway's effectiveness at concealing his actions. Each confession unveiled a new layer of horror, expanding the already immense scope of his reign of terror and solidifying his place as a uniquely brutal figure in criminal history. Ridgway stated that he chose prostitutes and runaways as victims because he believed they were easy targets and that their disappearances would go unnoticed, which regrettably was often the case. His cold, calculating rationale revealed a complete lack of empathy, viewing his victims not as human beings but as disposable objects. He sought control and power, and these vulnerable women presented the least resistance and the lowest risk of immediate detection. This predatory mindset allowed him to rationalize his heinous acts for decades, perpetuating a cycle of violence. The plea deal meant that families of Ridgway's victims would finally hear, often in horrific detail, what happened to their loved ones. At his sentencing, many brave family members delivered powerful victim impact statements, confronting Ridgway directly. Their raw grief, anger, and resilience filled the courtroom, humanizing the statistics and giving voice to those he silenced. It was a moment of profound public reckoning, where the true cost of his depravity was laid bare for the world to see and hear. Their strength was a testament to the enduring human spirit. In 2003, Gary Ridgway was sentenced to 48 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 10 years for each count of desecrating human remains. This sentence ensured that he would spend the rest of his natural life behind bars, never again posing a threat to society. The sheer weight of the charges reflected the magnitude of his crimes, bringing a grim finality to one of the most protracted and devastating serial killer investigations in American history. Justice, delayed for decades, was finally delivered, albeit imperfectly. Even after his sentencing, the search for Ridgway's remaining victims continued. Authorities believed there were still unidentified remains and missing women linked to his crimes. Ridgway continued to occasionally cooperate, providing clues to potential burial sites. The Green River Task Force, though scaled back, remained active, dedicated to bringing every possible victim home and providing closure to every family. The long shadow of his actions extended far beyond his incarceration, a testament to the enduring impact of his violence on the community. The Green River Killer case left an indelible mark on law enforcement, forensic science, and the community of the Pacific Northwest. It highlighted the critical importance of preserving evidence, the evolving power of DNA technology, and the need for interagency cooperation in complex investigations. More importantly, it underscored the vulnerability of marginalized populations and the tragic consequences when their pleas for safety go unheard. The case became a somber lesson, a grim reminder that monsters can hide in plain sight. For the families of Gary Ridgway's victims, the capture and conviction brought a measure of justice, but never truly erased the pain. Decades of uncertainty, grief, and fear took an immeasurable toll. Even with Ridgway behind bars, the anniversaries of disappearances and discoveries continue to be painful reminders of lives lost too soon. Their resilience in the face of such profound tragedy serves as a powerful testament to the enduring love for their lost ones, and a stark reminder of the human cost of violence. Psychological analysis of Gary Ridgway paints a picture of a remorseless individual driven by deeply ingrained sadistic fantasies and a profound lack of empathy. Experts believe his meticulous planning and ability to compartmentalize his life allowed him to evade capture for so long. He presented a veneer of normalcy that was difficult to penetrate, even for those closest to him. His internal world was a dark labyrinth of compulsion, a stark contrast to the quiet truck painter everyone thought they knew, making him a chilling study in criminal psychology. Early FBI profiles of the Green River Killer were remarkably accurate in predicting certain aspects of Ridgway's behavior and characteristics. They described a white male, likely in his 30s, who was familiar with the area and targeted vulnerable women. However, the profiles couldn't provide a name or exact location, highlighting the limitations of even the most sophisticated profiling without concrete evidence. This blend of accuracy and challenge underscores the complex nature of profiling, a tool that guides but rarely identifies. The Green River Killer case became a textbook example of the paramount importance of forensic evidence preservation. Despite the limited technology of the 1980s, detectives meticulously collected and stored samples from crime scenes and victims. This foresight, often criticized at the time for its expense and tedium, proved to be the linchpin of the entire investigation decades later. Without the careful handling and archiving of those initial pieces of evidence, the DNA breakthrough might never have occurred, leaving Ridgway free. The Green River, once a silent accomplice to Gary Ridgway's horrors, now flows as a poignant symbol of remembrance. Its banks, once grim scenes of discovery, are now places where families come to reflect and heal. The natural beauty of the Pacific Northwest, marred by such unspeakable acts, slowly reclaims its peace. Yet, the memories linger, a quiet testimony to the lives lost and the decades-long struggle for justice that unfolded along its waters. The river itself holds secrets, and bears witness to history. Today, Gary Ridgway remains incarcerated in Washington state, serving his multiple life sentences. He is housed in a maximum security facility, isolated from the general population, a fate he earned through his horrific actions. His existence is now defined by the walls of a prison cell, a stark contrast to the freedom he exploited to terrorize a community for so long. The man who once blended invisibly into society is now a permanent fixture of its most secure confines, a living testament to justice, however belated. Beyond the physical evidence in courtrooms, the Green River Killer left deep, unseen scars on the collective psyche of the Pacific Northwest. An entire generation grew up under the shadow of his crimes, forever altering their sense of safety and community. The fear he instilled, and the pain inflicted on families, serve as a constant reminder of the darkness that can reside within an ordinary exterior. His legacy is one of profound trauma, a wound that time may dull, but never fully erase. The media played a crucial, and at times controversial, role in the Green River Killer saga. It kept the public informed, but also contributed to the widespread fear. News coverage often sensationalized the details, yet it also spurred public awareness and pressured authorities to dedicate resources. Balancing the public's right to know with the need for sensitive reporting on such a harrowing case was a constant challenge, reflecting the complex interplay between media, crime, and public perception during a decades-long crisis. For law enforcement, the Green River Killer case became a benchmark. It defined careers, pushing detectives to their limits and inspiring significant advancements in investigative techniques. The lessons learned from this protracted cold case influenced how future serial murder investigations were approached, particularly regarding interagency cooperation and the long-term preservation of forensic evidence. It stands as a testament to the dedication of those who refused to give up, even when hope seemed distant, relentlessly pursuing justice. The successful resolution of the Green River Killer case highlighted the enduring power of cold case units and the impact of retrospective DNA analysis. It proved that even after decades, justice can be found for victims and their families, provided evidence is meticulously preserved and technology advances. This outcome offered hope to other families grappling with unsolved mysteries, demonstrating that time does not diminish the resolve to seek truth and hold perpetrators accountable, a powerful message for communities worldwide. Gary Ridgway's story is a stark cautionary tale. It reveals how seemingly ordinary individuals can harbor unimaginable darkness, and how societal vulnerabilities can be exploited with devastating consequences. It underscores the importance of community vigilance, support for marginalized populations, and the relentless pursuit of justice. The Green River Killer remains a grim reminder of humanity's capacity for evil, and the tireless efforts required to protect the innocent and ensure that even the most elusive predators are eventually brought to account. Ultimately, the story of the Green River Killer is not about Gary Ridgway, but about the women whose lives he brutally extinguished. It is about their memory, their families' enduring love, and the community's refusal to forget. A permanent memorial stands in Auburn, Washington, honoring each victim, ensuring that their names are spoken and their stories remembered. It is a sacred space, a testament to lives that mattered, a place where grief transforms into remembrance, and the silence of the river is filled with the echoes of their existence. The shadow of the Green River Killer may have receded, but its lessons endure. Law enforcement agencies worldwide continue to apply the principles refined during this decades-long investigation: the importance of cold case reviews, the rapid adoption of new forensic technologies, and the unwavering commitment to victims' rights. The case serves as a permanent reference point, a testament to human resilience in the face of unspeakable horror, and a reminder that even the most cunning criminals eventually face the long arm of justice. Beyond the headlines and the grim statistics, the Green River Killer case continues to resonate on a deeply human level. It's a story of loss, perseverance, and the painstaking journey towards accountability. It reminds us that justice is a process, often slow and agonizing, but ultimately essential for healing. The community, once gripped by fear, has found strength in remembrance and advocacy, ensuring that the legacy of those lost is honored, and that such profound evil can never again operate with such terrifying impunity. In the decades since his capture, Gary Ridgway has continued his existence within the confines of Washington's correctional system, a silent, grim figure defined by his past. His cooperation with authorities over the years has been minimal, usually only when it benefits him, but it has undeniably led to the recovery of some victims. He lives in isolation, a man stripped of the power and anonymity he once craved. His name remains a dark stain on history, a constant reminder of the vigilance required to protect the vulnerable. The weight of memory from the Green River Killer era continues to be carried by many. Detectives who worked the case, families who lost loved ones, and a generation of Washington residents live with its indelible mark. This shared experience forged a stronger community, one more aware of the unseen threats and more committed to protecting its most vulnerable members. It is a somber tapestry woven into the region's history, a narrative of darkness overcome by the enduring light of human spirit and the tireless pursuit of justice. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, ultimately faced a reckoning for his decades of terror. Though the pain of his actions will never truly fade, his capture and conviction brought a degree of peace and closure. His story is a chilling reminder of the evil that can exist in the world, but also a testament to the perseverance of law enforcement and the resilience of communities. May the memories of his victims endure, honored by the pursuit of justice and the commitment to ensure that no such predator again operates for so long, unseen.